Let Nigerians breathe. Who should we hold responsible? The utterance "Let Nigerians breathe" was recently popularized when the President of the Senate, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio, used it during one of his speeches in the recent past. And of course, there is the need to say the same again and again, even now, as things continue to deepen southward for the citizens. And as Chinua Achebe puts it, things fall apart. The center could not hold. The president once and again acknowledges that the citizens are going through a perilous period of unprecedented hardship on all fronts. During his response to the current and yet another increase in the pump price of petroleum products, most especially PMS, in the country, right now, sincerely speaking, Nigerians would appreciate it if the president could devise a way to step down on several policies' direction to ease the burden of hardship affecting the majority, if it is possible, or rather to create feasible and working relief policies beyond the apparent less effective recurring palliative programs, because it is obvious that the point that the dishing out of palliatives in the form we have witnessed cannot address the deeper problems the country and our people face now. No doubt, the hope of many Nigerians and of course the unspoken message the system has been sending all along while we were waiting for the Dangote refinery to roll out its PMS was that it would be a game changer on several fronts, including pump prices of the commodity of the country. It happened with diesel some months ago. Dangote refinery rolled out the product and pump price crashed by as much as 600 naira across the country. Right now, we cannot understand what makes the calculation different. Now it has happened. Dangote PMS is out and prices have moved up to approximately 900 at NNPC stations and as much as 1,200 at some locations across the country, with no guarantee that we have seen the worst. In fact, if we are to go by the obvious trend, we should be expecting further upward changes in the pump prices with time. For as long as the forces of deregulations and inherent corruptions, as much as the monopolization of Nigeria oil and gas sector holds sway, it should become obvious that Nigerians may not be able to come to benefit again from the sector. How do we explain that despite all the obvious needs to address the local refinery power and the continuous huge spending on all our nation's refineries, the story has not changed a bit? It promises after promises of yet another take-off date since the day of former President Muhammad Buhari. Who are the people deceiving the president while they continue to maintain their devilish hold on the nation's main source of livelihood? These presidents were so short that refineries were coming on board, made new promises to citizens, and had to repeatedly eat up these promises. We waited for Dangote, an acid capitalist, to solve the problem of a whole nation. We waited for a businessman whose singular objective has always been to maximize his takes and profits from each and all of his ventures. Is Dangote cement affordable to Nigerians? Is Dangote sugar or any other product affordable? No. So why will we anyone believe he will begin with a refinery built with $2,000 billion and make the product affordable right off the bat? Our people are raped. We hold four refineries that for almost 2 decades were not producing a drop of refined product, but are regularly drawing type payers money to offset salaries and wages of a redoubt 1,604 staff to the tune of 137 billion naira yearly, excluding other allocations for maintenance of the refineries. How many legitimate civil servants will be paid a minimum of 200,000 naira from this money? For years and how many years? The same money has been literally shared with people who are doing absolutely no work. I, however, been an ardent belief in the rent-seeking aspect of youth subsidy. Moreover, I have written about it for decades and I was highly elated when eventually we got a president who got to the nerve to do the needful as many of us believe. The theoretical calculations and projections presented in the country with a magnificent blueprint of an economy rid of wastage that has crippled the country of all its capacities to invest in serious infrastructure development as well as human capital development. But what do we have? The subsidy was removed. Funds are free of alternate use and monthly allocations to federal, state, and local governments have been hugely increased. States are now getting as much as twice what they were getting before every other 30 days, and we expect the dawn of massive development across states, local governments all over the country. But what do we have? No change. Rather than investing in agriculture to prevent gloomy food insecurity across the country, instead of investing in mid-care to provide cheap, affordable, and accessible healthcare to the citizens, instead of investing in education to change the educational landscape of the country, instead of investing in human development, we see governors going ahead to borrow more money only to pay salaries. Eventually, we are all directed to face the federal government as the reason why nothing seems to be working for us as a nation and as a people. We cry of hunger, yet the states run ministers of agriculture that are moribund on plain workers without any meaningful contribution to the food needs of the state because the governors were not interested in investing their state money in agriculture. 774 departments of agriculture across 774 local government areas of the country are contributing nothing to ameliorating the food insecurity in the country, yet allocations are made regularly to the department. Eventually, we blame the federal government and let go of the governors who continue to pocket humongous state allocations monthly until most of them will become richer than their states after their tenures. If each state governor does well with the allocations to the state and their internally generated revenues, hardly would we have a state in Nigeria struggling with food shortage. Those who cannot meet up would easily buy from those with excess. If only we could have each state doing the needful by ensuring that it invests massively within the ambit of available and purposefully funds allocated to its Ministry of Agriculture, Farming and Related Ventures, creating and managing strong storage system and food processing system. When necessary, food insecurity would never have been part of our national challenges. Funny enough, even right amid the gory food insecurity we are passing through now, what are the state governors doing? What harvest is any state has been credited to the direct action of a state with that is changing the narrative. All we are seeing are audio investments, funds movements, and no tangible results. Nigeria and Nigerians are on their knees, and we are all looking for who to hold responsible for the hard times we are going through. We want scapegoats for the poverty that is hitting hard on us. We want someone to hold responsible for inflation in the economy, and we want someone to hold for the proper access of both education and healthcare in the country. We want to hold someone or something to account for the perennial lack of employment and non-industrialization of the country. We have dropped everything on the table of Mr. President. Yet, it is just a president barely on a year in office who is responsible for the perennial challenges of a country. Until we begin to ask the right questions and hold the right people accountable for our problems, we are going nowhere as a people. How can a nation with so much zero industrialization and manufacturing capacity expect not to be in economic jeopardy? In current global community, where the weak natural become a dumping ground for serious nation, Nigeria is a weakling, depending on other far more serious nations for its many critical needs, including refined petroleum products until now Dangote is about to change the narrative, hopefully. Where is our once upon a time national industrialization? Of course, we were a proud nation with its spread of industries across the nation. Where are they now? The underdevelopment of Nigeria took a new turn downward for the moment the president Olusegun Obasanjo handed the country privatization of national asset to Atiku Abubakar and the eventually selling of all functioning national enterprises to incompetent bidders and the eventually collapse of all of them across the country. The list is still many to count. We have not recovered from them to date. NITL was gone, ALSCON at Ikot Abasi. Akwa Ibom is no more. A company built with $3.2 billion and fully op- optional was sold off the lowest bidder at 100 $130 million with a concession of $120 million to the buyer from the paid sum. We collected $10 million from the company that never existed again since then. NAFCON is also gone. Nikon is insurance is gone. Oni Global Cement is no more. We sold Elime petrochemicals to a foreign concern without presenting the country with a 5% share before the National Council on Privatization. Summarily, a 145 federal investments and enterprises were sold off yesterday without a thought from the future of Nigeria and Nigerians. Those businesses were almost all dead today. Atiku is being touted as a messiah. In a bid to get it right with electricity and power generation in the country, successive governments of Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, and Jonathan spent an estimated 2.74 trillion in 16 years. The investment was more than enough to set up the country for effectiveness in the energy sector, yet we got nothing out of it. Only Obasanjo spent 16 billion in 8 years with nothing to show for it. Today, these men are saints that we praise while holding down a single man, President Tinubu, for many who's of the entire country. The oil cabals, the same big and mighty men in the corridors of power, past leaders across sectors, powerful military men and traditional rulers, a devilish gang bent on monopolizing the nation's oil and gas industry and taking it for their personal enrichment. The same people who have bastardized the nation policy on oil subsidy until we had to grow the nerve to end it. The same people who are responsible for the diversion and stealing of crude oil to the tune of $38.7 billion only in just 4 years, from 2019 to 2022. In 2023 alone, accordingly, the findings by the National Assembly, the crude theft figure was purged at 2.3 trillion naira from the theft of 65.7 million barrels of crude priced at one average of 83 per barrel dollars. Imagine what this money could have done to alien economy in those 5 years, and that is only from crude theft. Apart from direct theft are the losses linked to vandalized pipelines across the country in 2022. Alone, oil companies operating in the country reported a loss of 800, 803 billion naira worth of crude oil to pipeline vendors and a few optional issues. Are they ghosts? No, they are not. Why are we pretending not to know them and keep blaming one man, the current president, for all our problems? Coming from here, unless we pause to agree that our problems are not coming from a single man and face the reality of directing our grievances effectively where they are rightly deserved, we would most likely remain a nation under oppressors without resistance.